Hi, hello everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, everyone. My apologies for the delay because we have some technical problems. So I shall start now. Let me share the screen. All right. So I hope you all can see the screen. Let me put the chat box. All right. So once again, thank you everyone for waiting. And our apologies for the technical problem backstage. So somehow we managed to sort it out. So in this session, I'll be sharing some so-called experience sharing from USM, our journey towards the micro-credential, launching of our micro-credential, which has been quite a long and winding journey. So I use the title here, Learning for Life, because that's what basically the aspiration of micro-credential USM, as well as our other online initiatives, including MOOC, as well as OER, Open Educational Resources. So blazing the trail for disruptive innovation in higher education, sharing USM journey. This morning, I talk about disruptive innovation in higher education. And there's only one example so far that I can cite. The innovation in higher education that fulfill the criteria of the definition of disruptive innovation, which is basically online learning and micro-credential in particular. Feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A, or feel free also to chat, to comment, to give feedback, because there's only a small group of people here, and some of you probably have seen some of the slides, many of the slides, and you have listened to some of the stories as well. So maybe most of it will sound very familiar to most of you here. But briefly, maybe the timeline of our journey overall in the online education or online learning as far as USM is concerned. Roughly in 1998, I think, when we have consolidated our LMS, learning management system. Before that, every different PTJs, different school or different faculties, they have their own LMS, and some of them actually have a different kind of LMS. So I think in around 1998, if I'm not mistaken, we have consolidated and centralized our learning management system using Moodle, which is an open source platform. And that's where we started with a proper systematic training program, professional development program, to expose our USM lecturers, USM academics, to online learning, to e-learning. Especially at that time, we use the term e-learning rather than online learning. And then around 2000, we started more exposure to give the exposure to blended learning, and with the initiative from MEPTA, which is the e-learning council of the 20 public universities in Malaysia, we have introduced the so-called guideline for blended learning and what qualifies as blended learning. And all the 20 public universities especially have to fulfill the criteria that have been set out in order to fulfill the to report as a full blended learning course. Then in around 2008, I think we also started the initiative for open educational resources, and I was also involved directly in Asia Pacific team to formulate the OER, UNESCO OER declaration, which was launched in 2012 as OER Paris Declaration. And more recently, we have the new one, which also look at inclusive OER. Inclusive means the open educational resources content that cater also for to make sure it is inclusive, to cater for those learners that are, that have vision, impact vision, and so on. And in 2014, we embarked on MOOC together with other 20 public universities. The initiative, National MOOC Initiative by Ministry of Higher Education. And in 2018, actually, we started to talk about USM especially, started to talk about micro-credential. I introduced the idea, and surely, of course, we always expect something new. There will be skeptics, there will be some resistance, but this is where the story begins. This is where I want to share the story about micro-credential, the journey, the brief journey from 2018 until now. So as most of you probably aware, the online learning in the form that we know now started probably around 2000 with the initiative. Of course, it's long before that as well, but I would say the initiative by MIT OpenCourseware around 2000, that was perhaps the beginning of where everyone started to look at online learning, online education more seriously, with the introduction of OpenCourseware by MIT. And at more or less the same time, UNESCO with their Learning for All agenda, have discovered that, or realized that, open educational resources, or OER, can be a platform to realize the Education for All agenda. And that is where they start to drive the agenda, or try to push the idea of developing open educational resources through the government initiative, through the educational institution in each country, so that everyone can start to create content and license it through Creative Commons license, so that it is available, widely accessible, and available to people around the world, the lifelong learners, as well as for anyone who like to use it for any purpose. And there is where OER introduced the OER Paris Declaration in 2012, and I considered myself lucky to be there in Paris, UNESCO Paris, when this OER declaration was launched in 2012. But I didn't involve in the more recent one, where they also introduced the inclusive OER, except the one that the formulation of the national policy for OER that was initiated, also led by my good friend, Professor Fung. Yeah? Then MOOC came around. The idea was introduced or mooted, initiated by George Simon around 2008, and then it kind of expanded, and everyone started to talk about MOOC. So from OCW, OER to MOOC, that's basically the evolution. So MOOC, as far as USM is concerned, we embark on MOOC together with the 20 public universities under the national initiative, so-called Malaysia MOOC. So each public universities has their own MOOC, including USM. So we have USM MOOC. So that basically set kind of the foundation, or kind of the baseline from which the other initiative, other digital initiative in USM. And this is also driven also by the Malaysia Education Blueprint, Shift number 9, especially, and I'm also very pleased to say that I was also involved in the writing of the whole chapter, Globalized Online Learning, together with my good friends from Aptly as well. So basically, OER, MOOC, and micro-credential now under the same broad category of the initiative to support the SDG 4, which basically the sustainable development goal number 4, which basically to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong opportunities for all. I think this is a very noble mission that everyone, without exception, especially those in the academic fraternity, to support this noble agenda. So open educational resources, basically content, learning objects, usually licensed using the Creative Commons license, the CC license, the 6 different types of licenses, so that everyone now can use the content because the permission is already given, except there's terms of use according to the type of CC license that's being applied. Then MOOC is basically a small structured course, and is supposed to be available for free. To me, it's still and should forever remain free. If the model now is for MOOC, if you can go through the course for free, but at the end, if you want to get a certificate, you have to pay. I think the moment you pay, then I don't think, to me, I believe it doesn't qualify for MOOC already. So it should be forever free and open. And of course, if you're lucky to get thousands of students, then it becomes massive. That's massive open online courses, as simple as that. But what's the difference between MOOC and micro-credential? There's still some confusion there. To me, there are a lot of similarities, except for MOOC, for micro-credential is more kind of, we make it even more flexible because we can modularize it. We can offer it as a standalone module, and people can also take a group of modules that can bundle it together, stack it together through the concept of stackable credential. They can get digital badges, put it together to get, finally to get a formal qualification in the form of diploma, degree, or master's qualification. So that's all about it. But together, collectively, all these are actually to support the SDG 4 and also in the national context to support our blueprint. So we in USM, we believe that digital credential, micro-credential is the game changer, the next game changer in higher education. And this is perhaps truly represent the disruptive innovation. It may not be 100% disruptive innovation, because if you understand the meaning of disruptive innovation, it is targeted for non-traditional market. In this case, micro-credential is targeted for non-traditional students mainly. These are the people that are working full-time, and yet they want to take the micro-credential for maybe personal development, lifelong learning, or the other group, maybe they want to take it for upskilling or reskilling, and the other group, maybe they want to take the full package of micro-credential that would lead to formal qualification. So there are different purposes of why people take micro-credential or digital credential. But mainly, these are the so-called non-traditional students. It's not so much meant for the traditional student that is already doing full-time study that come through the UPU system. So the question is whether some days micro-credential can really replace the traditional program, even it will make the university irrelevant. If that happens, then that will be truly disruptive innovation, okay? And why, the reason why USM embarked on micro-credential, I think there are a lot of good reasons, as you can see on the screen here, where we can contribute towards filling up the skill gaps between what's needed in the industry, so we can offer just the right package for the purpose of upskilling or reskilling or even personal development, provide rapid insight into ongoing professional development, building a culture of continuous learning, become inspired to seek new skill, boost engagement and productivity, and take accreditation anywhere, which means that when someone take any module, once completed, they will get the digital badges and they can share the digital badge on any social media platform like LinkedIn and so on. So I think probably most of you here in this session today, probably you have a good understanding already the why of micro-credentials, so maybe I don't have to deliberate much here. So in USM, and this is what I also believe when I always tell people, you don't want to embark on something just because you want to follow the crowd. Follow the crowd mentality, to me, it's not necessarily the good thing to do, but we have to be very clear of our strategic intent. We must have our roadmap and clear of, you decide what program to start with. Your target group is very clear, and maybe you want to work together in partnership rather than working alone. Of course, there is sometimes we feel that we can do everything alone, but of course you can do that, but it will take probably longer. But I think we have to admit that we don't have all the expertise in one place, in one institution. And then the question of readiness, which is very, very critical questions, whether our people are ready to embark. So these are the things that we consider in the context of USM. When we first embark on micro-credential and previously MOOC, basically we have already some people already doing MOOC or have done MOOC. So these are the kind of the group of people that we can start with because they have the know-how already, and some of them are highly motivated, so we can start with this small group. But regardless, all these issues that we need to address, it's very important. Once the strategic intent is very clear, we have to be very clear also what is the value proposition, whatever that program that we have decided. So what is the value that we want to offer to the stakeholders, to the target group? So what's the compelling value of your micro-credential program? And these are the things that also USM also look into this. Whatever that we do, whatever program that we decide to do, these are the kind of the guiding principles that we tell our people to think about. And basically, again, I think I don't have to deliberate much on this one because I'm taking for granted that many of you already know, but the idea of micro-credential is to provide flexible education, flexible learning opportunities, and to bridge between the so-called non-formal and informal education. These are the so-called non-traditional students. And that's why the reason why I mentioned just now, micro-credential is almost truly disruptive innovation, especially if finally micro-credential can really replace the traditional education, which I don't think is going to happen, or it's not going to happen that soon, maybe 20 years from now, I don't know. But at least 90% of what we do, the criteria of what micro-credentials are actually fulfill the criteria of disruptive innovation as defined by Clay Christensen in his book, Innovator's Dilemma. Okay. So, and these are the so-called non-traditional students that micro-credentials are addressing. And in USM, we keep this in mind that whatever we do, whether the micro-credential program is for we unbundle the accredited academic program and make it into packages and also modules, or we work on non-academic program, which basically for professional academic development. But our target group, we always keep in mind who are our target group. These are the non-traditional students, which we have at least four groups here: school leavers pursuing formal qualification, people requiring upskilling, people requiring reskilling, and also the lifelong learners. So meaning that our micro-credential program also support the national agenda, the shift number the nation of lifelong learners in our education blueprint. Yeah. Shift number, I forgot shift number. All right. Okay. Okay, I can see some questions here from Alina. What is the value of your micro-credential? What is the value of your micro-credential program? I think this is great food for thought for all of us who are looking to develop our own micro-credential courses. Well, I think the screen, the slide that you are seeing now, Alina, answer that questions. Basically, the value is in the outcome that you expect for the specific for the particular group that you are aiming at, that you are aiming your micro-credential program. For example, if your micro-credential program is aiming for mainly upskilling, okay, for upskilling. So this is for this so-called continuous professional development program. I will share with you some example. For example, in the USM context, where we offer CPD program, continuous professional development program for nurses. So the program would not only provide the CPD to get the CPD point that they need, but also the kind of skill that we teach in the module will help to enhance and to give a new skill for the nurses for their practice. So then we have another one for pharmacists, which we just launched about 2 months ago, and the same thing. The program, the module that we offer for the pharmacists is for them to acquire new knowledge, a new skill that would help to enhance their practice, to improve their practice, their knowledge, and their skill. So it's all about providing new skill, providing new knowledge, and to enhance the competencies. Yeah. So that's why we call micro-credential as competency-based program, because before they can get the digital credential, before they can get the recognition of the competency, the evidence of the competency, they have to complete whatever assignment given, mini project, and other form of assessment to prove that they have acquired the competency satisfactorily. Yeah. Okay. So feel free to post the questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Yeah? Okay, now the way we approach in USM, and I have also shared this in my other presentation on micro-credential. We always use this quadrant as a reference. So we look at the impact, whatever that we do must have impact to the target group, and also the amount of effort that we can put in, based on the people that we have, the readiness, the infrastructure, the time, and so on. And in USM, actually, we now are developing program or a micro-credential program and module in all the 4 areas, here. But we have more on professional development. We have a few on personal development. We now are developing a few master's program by coursework, and we are now developing one full bachelor degree program under this category, the undergraduate program. And this is a special program that we are very excited, because we are working together with industry to develop the program and customize it for that particular industry. But at the same time, later on, we can also repackage and repurpose the module and to offer it for other target groups as well. So we are looking at professional development program, personal development program, this one for lifelong learning, this one for upskilling, reskilling, And then for academic program and undergraduate and postgraduate, this is very challenging. So we have to be really very clear of what is our the strategic intent in the long term, in the mid-term and the long term that we want to achieve. How it can complement our traditional face-to-face program, and how we can bridge between the so-called the non-traditional student that would want to go through the pathway to take a formal qualification, and how we can facilitate the process, because micro-credential is about providing this flexibility as much as possible, and also affordability, accessibility, affordability, flexibility to the potential students. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Kamarudin, for being here. So this is what we do in USM in terms of what we feel as a critical success factors. So in USM, micro-credential program is top-down. It's driven from the top. And that actually make a lot of things easy, okay? So we have the driver and the advocator. You need an advocator. So if the top management, the very top management is driving the agenda and also advocating the agenda, then this will be very easy. So these are the kind of structure that we have, the governance that we have. We have the committee, micro-credential committee, chaired by our Vice Chancellor. And this committee meet regularly. Previously, we meet almost every month, but now probably every 2 months or 3 months. And because initially we had to do a lot of planning to get things moving. So this committee is responsible to do the planning, monitoring, and addressing all the issues and whatever that issues arise during the implementation. Then CDAE is the center where I am the director, and this is the workhorse, so to speak, the workhorse that on the ground that will get things moving, coordinating the efforts from different 26 schools and PTJs in USM. And we have also the so-called the satellites. The satellites are so-called the supporting unit that would help us, because CDAE is a small entity. So basically we are managing, coordinating the thing, and when come to the technical and so on. So we have also other so-called the satellites unit that will help us. Then of course you need the people. So the workhorse, the people, these are the committed subject matter expert. So the commitment is of course the most important thing, because without highly committed people, it's going to be very, very difficult to move things because it's very time consuming. And the learning curve is there for those who are new to online learning, to develop online content. So there's a learning curve, there's a lot of time to learn, to attend the training. Then there's, of course, there should be a business model as well. The profit sharing model is very important, because those people who are involved to develop the content, they will be compensated for their effort, compensated handsomely, to compensate for their time, because these are the same people who will have to fulfill also other demand of KPI demand of the university as well. Okay, so the question of what's in it for us, that is a natural question that we need to address. And of course, the funding and marketing. So when I say support from the top management, this includes also the monetary support, whatever funding that we need to get things moving, the infrastructure, the equipment, devices, and so on. So these are some of the critical requirements. We need a platform. So in USM, we are using OpenLearning platform. So thank you to OpenLearning for providing all the technical support so far. USM has been with OpenLearning for a long time, since the time of MOOC until now. It's not because of we are loyal to OpenLearning, but because we feel that OpenLearning can provide whatever that we need. Okay, And we have the technical team. The technical team is actually, we have one technical team under CDAE, but we also have technical team by different units that can provide technical support for multimedia. And we also encourage each PTJ, each school or faculty to have their own technical team as immediate support for the people involved at each PTJ to develop the content. And committed coordinator. So we have appointed coordinator, the vice chancellor or the committee, micro-credential committee, chaired by vice chancellor, appointed directly the coordinator from each school. And these are not just anybody. We need someone who can really committed and really monitor everything, the micro-credential project at the school level. And I think this is one of the, I would say, the key success factors, that you must find the right people to coordinate at the PTJ level, at the school level, or at the faculty or department level. Without this, it's very difficult to move the whole institution to move together. Training, of course, is where I spent a lot of my time in 2020, especially, and now still, to provide all the training needed. Central subscription for web-based application, this is another critical thing, because as much as possible, we want our staff to use a free application, but there are limits to it. So we have to also provide some commercial paid subscription to, selected applications, especially to create content, to create quality content. And of course, the unwavering support at the department level, the head of department. And the support here is not just a support, the lip service, giving the lip service, but a real support in terms of whatever required to get things moving. Okay, I'm just checking whether if there's any question that I can address rightly. So now the last part of my sharing here is the micro-credential USM. I hope you can visit. It's very simple. The address is number 4, learning for life at usm.my. So, and this is the banner, micro-credential at USM, program for personal and professional development. Well, I must say that I can tarik nafas sedikit lah now. I can breathe more comfortably now, but not just a little bit, because it's been a long and winding journey since probably around 2018. Yeah, at that time, not many people talk about micro-credential, and it has not become a buzzword yet in 2018. So, yeah, as I said just now, this is a top-down. This is our current VC now, Dato' Rafiq. He's the one who, the first week when he joined USM, he told me, I want you to make me, to make micro-credential happen. That is the instruction, and that is my KPI for USM. So that was in end of 2019 when he joined USM. Then came 2020, and suddenly there's a lockdown. So there was a setback, but we keep on pushing, marching forward, because we cannot use the pandemic as an excuse. But it kind of slowed down things, but it continue to move. So it's better to move slowly rather than stop. At least you keep progressing. Then before Dr. Rafiq, our previous VC, Dr. Asma, she was very instrumental in really pushing micro-credential and set the kind of the foundation from which we kind of move forward further to make the micro-credential as what we have now. Yeah. So thank you very much, Dr. Asma, if you are listening. And of course, the platform. We decided we don't want to kind of create our own new platform or develop our own in-house platform, because to me, there's a lot of work there. We don't want to be distracted with that. So we focus on what we have, and we believe OpenLearning is, for all intent and purposes, is good enough for our micro-credential. And Adam Rimo, the CEO of OpenLearning, has been there all along since MOOC time until now, and have given us all the support needed. So we focus 100% on content development. And even then, we're still struggling and still grappling with a lot of issues at the beginning. Okay. Dr. Karti, yes. Kindly share some subscription of tools that might be useful for content development. Okay, I hope towards the end, I will give some example of the tool that we have. Okay, please remind me. Yeah, so this picture I'm just showing at the beginning is very, very important. Remember, as in all new things, there's always skeptics, there's always resistance. That's normal. That's to be expected. So I, as the main person who basically given the mandate to make it happen, I have no choice but to get the buy-in, to convince people. So the keyword there is convince rather than forcing people. So to convince people that this is something that we have to do. What are the big why? What is the big why, and what are the benefits if we do micro-credential? Because most of our academics, they have so much on the plate. The plate is already full, you know, already spill over already. So now we add another one on top. So I had to do a lot of so-called roadshow to explain, to roadshow one by one to all the PTJs, repeating the same thing again and again, although the recording of the video is already there on our YouTube channel, but we cannot take for granted that people will watch it. You know, we cannot just simply tell, go and watch the recording of our micro-credential roadshow. No, it's not going to happen. So we have to go down on the ground and go to the grassroots, talk to people, and do your best to pitch the idea. Luckily, I had some experience as a salesman to do pitching, so I use all the skill to convince people to pitch the idea and you know, convince them that this is something that we really need to do for USM, for the nation, for the country, for education, for SDG 4, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay. These are the series of training. I lost count already. I probably have conducted hundreds of training, not only for USM, but for groups from other universities as well. And luckily, I'm still standing here and talking to you. I hope God will give me health and energy to continue doing this. I enjoy it, but sometimes the physical, your physical actually limit what you want to do. Okay. And after you put all the work and the effort, then the time will come when you will reap the fruits of the labor, so to speak. Okay. And this is when we launch our micro-credential. This was still during Professor Dr. Asma's time when we launched this. That is somewhere in sometime in 2000, probably end of 2018 or the mid 2018, yeah, when we launched our micro-credential platform. So the status now, Alhamdulillah, I can say that I think now is we have more. This is not the latest, yeah, but around that 300 plus module that we are now developing, and it's a mixture of professional development, a mixture of module that from the academic program that have been unbundled, and also from one degree program. That one I think still work in progress. So this is still work in progress, and 141 have been completed, and about 80 plus under QC. We are quite kind of, this is the bottleneck actually, because we have only about 26 people in the QC team, which is, I mean, this team are trained to do the proper QC. I mean, everyone has a common understanding based on the checklist, based on the guideline, what we look for in the micro-credential module before we can make it public and publish it on our platform. Okay, and this is so-called this so far the users so far. Okay, and this the micro-credential module 5 out of 18 initial plan, but 5 have been this from the nursing program, and we are very proud of this. We just launched it in July, and we hope in the 2022, early next year, we will see these 5 modules would really take off. Since we launched in July this year, the timing was not right, because the target group for this one is 100,000 plus nurses in all the under the KKM, under the KKM, including also the private hospitals. So we are targeting around 100,000 plus nurses that would take this module for their CPD. And the good thing is we have presented this also to Institute Jururawat Malaysia, who govern the nurses professional development, and they have endorsed that our module can be considered, can be taken by the nurses for the CPD. So that actually a very, very important thing. The partnership that I mentioned earlier is very important, because if you're aiming for a certain group that under a certain kind of governance, like Institute Jururawat Malaysia, or under certain association like or society, it's best to work together with them, so that you can target, you have a sure kind of target group that you can offer your program and sell your program. So we have 5 modules, and this is I would say very well done. It took about 1 year to get the 5 modules completed, because they started from zero. The course developers here, they started from zero in terms of the technical knowledge. So I'm very, very proud of this group, because now they can be considered heroes already from zero, practically, literally from zero to hero. A very good example here. Dr. Koh, QC criteria, actually you can get everything from our website. You go to cdae.usm.my. On the first page, you can look for micro-credential button. Click there, and you will get to the page where you can get all the resources, including the guideline, the checklist, everything there. Boleh, Dr. Koh? Okay, these are some of the example of the program, not all, that is already there on our micro-credential page. And this one is already rolled out. This one already rolled out about 2 months ago. And this is another example where USM is working together in collaboration, partnership with Malaysian Pharmacist Society, MPS. Yeah, MPS, Malaysian Pharmacist Society, And we are working this together through a profit sharing model. And we are targeting around 18,000, if not mistaken, 18,000 pharmacists. I think around that number, or maybe more. Okay, and Alhamdulillah, it's already rolled out, and already many pharmacies already taking this, and hopefully we are aiming to 2022 we can roll out a few hundreds from all the modules that we have developed so far, and hopefully we can reach our target by next year. And this is one example, one of the examples of module for the pharmacist, introduction to vaccines. We have what, 44 learners already. As you can see, I just captured the screen this morning. So we already have 44 learners. They just rolled out this module about 2 months ago, and now we are about to do more promotion together with the MPS just now. I mean MPS to their members, the pharmacists under the MPS. Okay, Dr. Karti here, are you using OpenLearning platform for both unbundling? Yes, we are using OpenLearning platform. Yeah. So this is I would say something that we are really looking forward and we are very proud. It's still work in progress. This is the bachelor degree program, the 4-year bachelor degree program. We are developing it together for the industry, and we both have agreed, and we have yet to sign the MOA, but it's already the work is already progressing. And I covered the name of the industry here because we have yet to sign the MOA, but basically it is already on. And basically we are offering this, we unbundling the 4-year program in one of the bachelor degree under the School of Management with the minor courses in from School of Industrial Technology. Again, maybe I forgot to hide something here, but anyway, there's a minor package in the whole program, and this will be offered to the staff of the industry, and they will take this, in a flexible way, and later on they can do the credit transfer through the Aptly and admission through Aptly and so on, and eventually they will get. So we are providing the pathway for them to get the full degree. Okay, so already the time is up, I think, already 5. So basically what we do in USM, these are the things, the outcome that we expect: income generation, IP, copyright, commercialized products, and also hopefully to give visibility and branding for USM. So I'm just showing some of the screenshot from our website. These are the programs that we have yet to, because most of these are still under QC, except for the two programs that I showed just now that have rolled out, the nursing as well as the pharmacist. Yeah. And this one, yeah. Okay, challenges, I just summarized some of the challenges. Challenges abound, yeah, there's always challenges. So it's just a matter of how we deal with it, yeah. So we are looking at technical program, that involve hands-on, for example. How do we deal with that? The strategic direction, the credit transfer. And when we look at the 4-year bachelor degree program, there's a lot of details there that need to be worked out, and I would say there's a lot of headache also there. But again, there's something that we have to do. The learning curve is there, is still there. We are still on the learning curve, on the steep learning curve, and but we will be there. Okay, so I don't want to elaborate too much on the challenges here, but 6 key points to take away, which I have mentioned just now. Basically, the idea is to empower learners, to provide the options for those non-traditional students. If they wish, if they so wish, they can take the full qualification by doing, taking the micro-credential in a flexible way. So this for lifelong learning, for professional development, upskilling, reskilling, and it's best to work with a partner so that we can be sure that we have takers for our micro-credential program. Okay, so that's all. Thank you. This download link is not the right one. I forgot to delete this one, so just ignore the download link there. If you like, how do I share because I have not yet saved the link. But anyway, let me look at the question, come back to the question by Dr. on the subscription. Dr. Karti just now, please share some subscription of the tools that might be useful for content development. So we subscribe to, for example, or let me type just in the chat box, slide model. Okay, slide model is the PowerPoint template. Okay, so actually some of the PowerPoint slide that you see, including this one on the screen now, these are the PowerPoint template that we get from slide model. So we subscribe so that we can have access to 30,000 plus template, beautiful template for almost everything that you need. So this will cut down the time for our staff so that they can use a template and they just put in the content, and the template look, the PowerPoint slide looks nice and looks professional. Yeah. On the copyright, is it endorsed by USM or to Dr. Kamarudin? Okay, slide model. What else? We subscribe to. What else do we subscribe? We subscribe to Panopto. Yeah, Panopto. What else? Yeah, we subscribe to. Of course, we have Adobe, the full suite of Adobe. For yeah, those are some of the. This is something that offhand that I can remember. There are probably a few more. On the technical part, actually, my staff is more well versed. Okay. Yep. Copyright, is it endorsed by USM? Yeah, we encourage the subject matter expert to apply to register for the copyright, and the cost is paid by the PTJ. The cost is paid by the PTJ, because whatever revenue generated from the program, the PTJ will get a portion of it. Yeah, so it makes sense that they have to pay, also invest in because the copyright also is a KPI. Well, everything nowadays is KPI, right? So the KPI for the PTJ, then for the staff as well, and for USM. Yeah. And to me, a standalone 1 hour module at least, yeah, is worth, to me, is substantive enough to be registered as one copyright, rather than one small 3 minutes video. Of course, you can register the copyright, nothing wrong with that, yeah. But we encourage something more substantial for you to, for our staff to be registered to copyright the content, yeah, or the module, yeah. All right. Any more question? I think basically that's the end of my sharing. What's the duration of your standalone micro-credential? Well, our guideline says roughly 1 hour, but it could be up to a few hours, like 4 hours, 1 to 4 hours. We try to put it within. That's what we put in our guideline, because later on also we hope to have some of our modules in stages to get the, what do you call this, micro-cred, yeah? Micro-cred under OpenLearning, so that we can also market, put our micro-credential courses or program on OpenLearning marketplace. So that is something that we will do in stages, but we will make sure that we publish it on our platform first, then make sure that we can fulfill all the criteria under OpenCred. So once we get OpenCred, then we can sell our program on OpenLearning marketplace. So now we have more visibility. So we have our program on USM Learning for Life platform. We also have the same program on OpenLearning, OpenCred platform. I hope you know what when I say micro-cred, maybe I hope you know that is under OpenLearning credential. Yeah. Yeah, I have a question here there's a question from Marilyn. Oh, under Q&A. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the chat here. Okay, Marilyn, what is your advice? Marilyn is from OpenLearning, right? What is your advice for beginners who are thinking of building micro-credential? Where would be a good place to start? And what are the things to look out for? Do micro-credential need to be accredited by a recognized body before they can be offered to the general public? Okay, what's your advice for, I think, for the beginners? Well, for the beginners, I think first, be a learner first. Join maybe a few micro-credential courses or program. Look at what they are doing and get, look at a few, and then you get some ideas already how the micro-credential module looks like. This, I always advise people, before, if you have not taken any online course, then you are not qualified to teach online or to be a teacher online or to offer MOOC or micro-credential. First, you have to be a learner. So try to join as many as possible so that you get the understanding from the student side, from the learner's side. Then only when you design your own, you bring your experience so that you understand what's the learners expect in terms of the design, delivery, assessment, everything. Yeah, the interaction, the engagement. What would be a good place to start? Yeah, the good place to start is to take courses, be a student, be a learner. Then only now look at what can you offer, what kind of skill and knowledge that you have that of value, of interest that you can offer to a specific target group out there. It could come from the course that you are teaching as part of the accredited program, okay, or it could be a standalone non-academic program based on the skill that you have that you can offer for upskilling, reskilling, for professional or for lifelong learning program. Do micro-credential need to be accredited by a recognized body? Well, if you are offering a program that that have the so-called professional body and that kind of also play a role to recognize the program, like the engineering program, medical program, and so on, then naturally you have to get the endorsement from those bodies. So like the nursing program that we offer for CPD of nurses. So for the nurses to be able to report the points, the CPD point that they get after they have completed USM's module, it has to be recognized by the nursing board, by the Institute Jururawat, Institute Jururawat Malaysia. Otherwise, whatever module that they take would not be taken or accepted as part of their CPD. So meaning that, so that's why we presented this to Institute Jururawat Malaysia so that they can see, and in fact they required USM to put in certain things in order for them to endorse that. Okay, so I hope I have answered Marilyn questions. Marilyn, yeah. Balasanda, Doctor, how can we register our contents for Creative Commons license? Oh, Creative Commons license, it can be done easily. What license you propose for institutions who want to protect their contents right? Well, if you want to protect, if you want to have all rights reserved, then of course you have to register with our IPO, Malaysian Copyright Malaysian IPO, Intellectual Property Office, MyPO. That is all rights reserved. But if you want your content to only some rights reserved, so this is where Creative Commons come in. So you decide whether you want to give away, you want to waive some rights, reserve some rights. So if that's the case, go for Creative Commons, which can be registered easily in Creative Commons website, okay? And you can choose from the 6 licenses. Should you go, you can go for the most generous one, CC BY, or the least generous one, yeah, the most stingy one, which is the CC BY, SY, NC, all those things, and non-commercial, and so on. There is almost as good as all rights reserved, except you know, you grant the permission for people to use the content. Yeah. All right. Okay. From Dr. Karti, do you design your MCs as SIMs? Yes. As much as we can. That's what I would recommend. I would suggest we should design our micro-credential as self-instructional material, self-instructional module. The reason being, most of the module will be offered in asynchronous mode. Okay. Of course, you can also have some synchronous, but I would say by and large is asynchronous. So therefore, just like ODL, you know, try to design it as much as you can, following the SIM criteria and format. Sophia, okay, question from Dr. Wendy. Is it mean MC does not have a group work component and does not be able to access collaboration skill? Well, it's up to you. It's up to the course designer. You can still have a group collaborative work, even in the asynchronous mode. So if the nature of the course where you can leverage on the group work, and it's good, actually, I would say that it's good to have some form of at least minimum, you know, collaborative group work to enhance the value. You know, in online learning, we use the community of inquiry framework. So we have the social presence, the teaching presence, as well as the cognitive presence. So the social presence can come from the group work. So as much as we can, try to have it integrated as part of the learning design. Okay. That's all the question in the Q&A, or do we have more in Q&A? Okay, no more. And in the chat? I think that's about all. Unless, I think the audience cannot unmute the microphone, right? So I think that's about all the questions that we have. If there's no more, so I'd like to thank everyone for listening. My sharing this afternoon. I hope I've given value for your time. I'm always very concerned about the value of time that for the listeners, and I hope you have learned 1 or 2 things from our short experience on developing micro-credential, and I hope it can inspire you if you're not doing the micro-credential yet, to start the journey. The journey, of course, will be very long and winding and challenging, but there's always a learning curve, but there's always, you know, a sweet fruits that we can harvest at the end. Okay. With that, thank you very much. Dr. Kamrudin, have I answered your question? I forgot just now. Yeah, copyright. Yeah, about copyright. Yeah. Okay, I've answered the question. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, and see you all in other forums, other events. Yeah. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and have a nice day.